Good morning, everyone. And my favorite 5 words in situations like this are, all protocols having been observed. But as we go forward, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank Alfie and your team for having me here this morning. It's an honor. I want to commend JACE and the team that's put this together for really being pioneers in recognizing the importance of entrepreneurism and small business in developing any economy, and particularly Jamaica, which has such a depth of talent. It's a crying shame that more is not being done, but this is the starting point. And I think USAID needs to be commended, the sponsors need to be commended, and certainly the ministry needs to be commended as well for taking this initiative. Successful entrepreneurship to me is equal measures passion, motivation, and application. I want to ask you to remember 3 numbers: 21, 43, and 19. We live in the knowledge economy. It tears down borders and affords global scalability. Jamaica will need people with advanced skills and entrepreneurial spirit. The energy, enthusiasm, and innovation of this large youth generation can bring tremendous micro and macro benefits to the country. We live in a world where Time Warner, Hilton, and Hertz are playing catch-up. Today, the largest media company, Facebook, with its 1.8 billion users, owns no content. The largest accommodation company, Airbnb, owns no hotel rooms. And the largest transportation company, Uber, owns no vehicles. Ladies and gentlemen, we talk about entrepreneurship, small business, and wealth creation. We don't have to look but 90 miles to the north for inspiration. You see, while China has 260 billionaires with a net worth of $675 billion, the US tops all of this with 585 billionaires with a net worth of $2.5 trillion. Most significantly, some 62% of them are self-made. The 28 million small businesses in America account for 54% of all US sales. That includes Walmart's roughly $1.3 billion per day. Small businesses account for 55% of all jobs in the US. You talk about focus and commitment. Walmart founder Sam Walton taught himself to fly so that he could get around the country quicker to visit his growing empire of stores. I don't believe there's much debate about the impact to the economy of expanded entrepreneurship and small business development, so I do not intend to dwell on those characteristics, but they certainly include creating opportunities for employment, financial success and independence, a boost to the development of the economy directly via taxes, and indirectly and most significantly through the multiplier effect of all these people spending their money in different businesses and supporting other companies. Entrepreneurs contribute to local economies by bringing growth and innovation to the community in which the business is established. They also help stimulate economic growth by providing employment, service, and supplier opportunities. Allow me to share a story. A number of years ago, I had a distribution company. So this is before all this nice stuff that the young Wilmers guy said about me. We had several lines of business. We were in video games, pharmaceuticals, music CDs, DVDs. Heck, we even had wholesale roses. We tried everything. One day I got an opportunity for a large computer order. I did all the work, I bid, I pitched, negotiated, the whole 9 yards. We got the order. I was very excited. I ran out, did all that I needed to do to get the financing for the order. Everything went great. We ordered the goods, they came in. This one time, no issues with customs, everything came in, life was good, hunky-dory. Delivered to the customer, hunky-dory. We were told to come back on an appointed day to get our check. We did, hunky-dory. The check bounced. I called the guy. We did our due diligence. We knew common people. The bank said he was good for it. He had several retail stores around the place. And he dressed the part, had a nice home, et cetera, et cetera. I called him. I wasn't panicked. This guy has substance. He said, I'm not sure what happened. Just redeposit it tomorrow. I'll call the bank and sort it out. No problem. We did that. The bank called me. Come and pick up the instrument. It's no good. And there we were faced with a crisis because we went from envisioning what we were going to do with all this surplus from this large order to reinvest in our business, to continue to fund our growth, to now figuring out, how do we survive? Not adjust, not sort of, put our tail between our legs and say we need to learn for the future. How do we actually survive? And so I had to take a look at all these different lines of business and see which one was actually making us the most money and figure out how we could sell some stuff really, really, really quickly. And I discovered in that exercise that we had a pharmaceuticals line, and that business generated less than 10% of our revenue, but it generated most of our gross profit and almost all our net profit. And so where I had 2 reps that would go out and report to me weekly, that changed. We went out together every day, and we sold, 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 and we sold. And we made it through that rough patch. We paid our debts, we kept it moving. I never got my money, unfortunately. And if he's liquid now and he can pay me, I would be happy to receive it many years down the track, but I would be happy. Oh dear, my thing went away. But the lesson that came out for me with that is not just understanding my business a little bit more. It made me really question what I was doing. I realized I had a business and I was a trader. That's what my business was. I bought stuff and I sold it. And no matter how much money I was going to make doing that, that was not what I wanted to do. And I have full marks to anybody where that's their passion, but that's not what I wanted to do. I didn't want to look 10 years down the line and say I made a lot of money being a trader. It's not what I wanted to do. So I came to a little bit of a realization to say, what do I want to do? And how do I get out of doing today what I really don't want to do in 10 years? I've come to realize as well that when you put things out there, life has a way of kind of presenting it to you. So, some people tell you about thinking big and manage how you think. Do you want to have $1 million? Well, make sure you say it's $1 million US, or make sure you say it's £1 million, or you might end up with £1 million lira, and that's not really going to help you too much. But a year later, someone approached me to buy the business, and I sold it. And I was very happy to do that at the time. But I say that to say that it was when I started to think that this is not what I wanted to do. I survived that storm, but it was not what I wanted to do. And the business had recovered and we were doing okay, but life presented me a new opportunity. And it allowed me to pursue a passion that I had, which is media. My history with media, without going into too much depth, is as a young boy, I did the whole deliver newspapers in England and fall off your bike in the snow and all that good stuff. But I had a real passion for knowledge. I had a passion to read. I love magazines. I love books. I love stories about successful entrepreneurs, their victories, their losses. One thing I will tell you that's common to all entrepreneurs, from Richard Branson to Warren Buffett, Michael Lee Chin in Jamaica to Elon Musk. They've all had moments where it all went topsy-turvy, every single one of them, and some of them more than once. And it's only by reading, it's only by understanding those realities that we can come away sometimes in our darkest moments and realize that our storm that we face really isn't as terrible as the storms that other people have faced and succeeded. Too often I think we divorce our reality from this perception that that person high on top has had it easy their whole time. They've had no struggles, no challenges. The truth is, in entrepreneurship and business, there's always going to be struggles and challenges. And for the people who are here that are facilitating young people getting into this line of work, I salute you. But I also ask you to do something, and that is to help them understand what the journey really looks like. The Honorable Minister mentioned something there about if 1 or 2 businesses out of the pool succeed, that's good enough. And he's right. But here's the reality. In the Caribbean culture, we sort of, we're like vultures on a carcass when someone fails, right? It's what we like to talk about. And the truth is, the culture and even the structure of the system does not facilitate failure. It compounds failure. So it's one thing for us to say to a 13-year-old coming all the way up, go start your own business, go take the risk, go apply yourself, go do the work. But if the punishment for failure is so acute, then it's really difficult for a responsible parent or mentor to say, yeah, go pursue your dreams. Because when you stumble and fall, it may take you 5 to 10 years to get your name back, or longer to even get a car loan. You know, and that's the reality of where we are. And I think until we start to mesh the positive encouragement of a program like this, which is so incredibly important, so I don't want anything I'm saying here to take away from that, with the realities of ensuring that the legal system, the cultural infrastructure supports people going out there and trying, we're going to have this huge disconnect that continues. And you're going to have a situation in Jamaica, just like throughout the Caribbean, where there's all this talent that is not realized, it is not allowed to float, to fly, okay, to blossom, if you will, because the reality is the punishment for failure is too intense. You know, in the United States in 2016, there was a 6% drop in bankruptcies. 6% drop, sounds good. There were 771,000 companies that filed for bankruptcy in 2016 in the United States. Think about that. 771,000 companies that didn't make it. But the truth is, the companies that did make it, the ones that continue to grow, the new ones that started, the new ones that got funded, the new ones that had all this human capital put behind them to succeed, they compensated for all of that. And that's what keeps an economy moving. And that's what keeps the most, you know, one of the most important elements of entrepreneurship, in my opinion, is not just the wealth it creates for the entrepreneur. It's not merely the jobs that it gives within that direct business. It's the hope it inspires. It's the fact that someone can look in their circumstances and say, you know, daddy did this, mommy did that, I don't think I'll ever amount to much. But they can look across and remember their classmate, and they can see what they're doing today. They can see that they came from the same circumstances as me, and now they have a thriving business. They have a house that they want to have. And they can start to realize that that one success story has inspired hundreds and even thousands of people to live better, to dream bigger. I had lots of really cool things to share with you, and I wrote them all down, but now my iPad has gone blank, and I don't feel like opening it up. But I want to really make 3 last points. And actually, no, I want to share a quote with you, which I can't recall, so let me pull it up. It is from Adam Grant. He's a Wharton professor and a novelist. He wrote a book called The Originals. And it speaks back to something that the minister mentioned that I think is so critical. And he says this: the greatest originals are the ones who fail the most, because they're the ones who try the most. You need a lot of bad ideas in order to get a few good ones. And at the risk of, I don't know, I mean, we're so sort of scared sometimes in the Caribbean, but I'm gonna share something I realized the other day. And actually, I shared this with someone who's here today. You know, a few years ago, I remember Andrew Holness lost an election. And I remember what people said. He was done. He was finished. They had to get a new leader. He didn't know what he's doing, et cetera, et cetera. Today, he stands as arguably the most powerful man in Jamaica. And again, we have a tendency to celebrate success, but we don't put it in context. And to me, the context of something like that is the fact that no matter what happens to you, if you double down, you apply yourself, and you believe in yourself, you can be whatever you choose to be. So I say let's encourage people to take risks. You know, it's important. I say, minister, the job is on your administration to figure out how you structure that so people don't, it's not the end of the world. Right? I'm sure USAID can speak to the fact that that's the culture. That's what I learned in the United States, is try. And try. Do your work. Apply yourself. Be prepared. But try. Don't fail to try because you're scared to fail. That's a recipe for inertia, and nothing can happen out of that. So ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to close with actually, I need to do 2 things. Number 1 is my numbers. So hard work, discipline, desire, passion, enthusiasm, all these important adjectives are what are critical to business. The ability to get back on your feet. There's nothing like it. You can have the best business plan in the world, you can have the most capital behind you. If you're not able to recover from your setbacks, you're not going to make it. So that resilience is incredibly important. But that also means you have to have certain disciplines. Your enthusiasm will not carry you to the finish line. And how do we get disciplines? We get it from a set of things we call rituals. And rituals come from habits. And so what 21 represents is there's an author, Timothy Ferriss, and he says this: it takes 21 days to create a new habit. So it seems such a trite and simple concept, but I encourage everyone to try it. I did. I had a little spreadsheet with all the different behaviors I wanted to have, and I tracked it every single day. And I encourage you to do it. 21 days and you create a brand new habit. 43. Dietrich Mateschitz founded Red Bull at the age of 43. Today he's 72, 29 years, and he's worth $15.4 billion. Okay? So you don't have to be a 19-year-old prodigy to end up being a billionaire. He started at 43. And my last number. In 2009, an ambitious young man applied for a job at Facebook. He was rejected. He had the chutzpah to tweet immediately after, "Facebook turned me down. Looking forward to life's next adventure." 5 years later, Brian Acton sold his company to Facebook for $19 billion. 5 years later. The company, some of you may be aware, it's called WhatsApp. Okay? So I want to close with 3 things. And this is for those who want to pursue a course of entrepreneurship and for those who are looking to encourage young people to pursue a course of entrepreneurship. Dare to dream, but be prepared to work. Average loves average. Be wary of those who want to pull you back to the middle. It's an overcrowded space. And finally, forget about what they say. Unless the source is someone you respect, admire, or aspire towards, give it 0 weight or value. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for your time this morning and I wish you the best in your endeavors.